Good evening to you and a warm welcome to Business Live for today, Monday, the 19th of December. My name is Emmanuel Abuachi Biafi, and as usual, we're bringing to you a mixed bag of business activities right here in the city of Accra. Now, coming up in this edition, co-founder of Data Bank Financial Services, Ken Ofori-Atta, expected to be named Finance Minister in the incoming government. What are the views of some economic experts on his potential for the position? Also on Business Live this evening, official liquidator for DKM Microfinance confident a smoother process in the second round of payments to depositors. And the president of the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana, CIMG, Kojo Mata, says businesses must put customers first if they want to remain competitive in 2017. Details of these stories and others coming up on this evening's program. Of course, we also bring to you an update of the stock market, which opened today, Monday. You can also stay interactive with us by tweeting at Joy Business GH, and on Facebook, we are on Joy Business. Let's take a quick breather here. We'll be right back. Thank you very much for staying. Welcome back. The co-founder of Data Bank Financial Services, Ken Ofori-Atta, is expected to be named Finance Minister in the incoming government. This is what Joy Business has picked from sources close to President-elect Nana Akufo-Addo, influenced the incoming president's decision to settle on this astute investment banker. George Yafi tells us more.
Sources say one of the major reasons why President-elect has settled on Ken Ofori-Atta is basically due to his plan to make businesses and the private sector the focus of his government as he works to stabilize the economy. Hence the decision to bring in someone who has been a player in the private sector and has a deeper understanding of the workings of the financial sector. Another thing that may have worked for Ken Ofori-Atta, according to sources, is basically about trust and someone the president can better relate to when it comes to issues of finance and the economy, and even how he managed Nanado's finances as an opposition leader and during the recent campaign period. Joy Business gathers Ken Ofori-Atta's connection with the international community and investors also played a major role in President-elect's decision to nominate him to manage one of the most difficult and sensitive ministries of the state. Ken Ofori-Atta tells Joy Business he is prepared to hit the ground running as soon as the president finally hands the position over to him. Sources say Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo could release his first batch of ministerial appointments possibly on January 8, which will include the name of Ken Ofori-Atta as finance minister.
Now, what do some persons in the private sector make of Ken Ofori-Atta's expected nomination? Financial consultant Charles Mensah, who once worked with the astute investment banker, has been speaking with Joy Business.
Ken is a very calm person, and if we go by the adage that money doesn't like noise, then he's probably the right person because he's a calm person and he would deliver. But as to whether he will get support from the various sectors, because it's a public sector that you are going to deal with, and they have different approaches, in dealing with you as a person. So maybe if Ken gets it, then he can support himself with people who have worked in the public sector. It would inure to our benefit because it will be easier, because the public sector outlook, it's totally different from the private sector. The public sector believe in procedures, time, they don't rush them. But at the same time, so you need certain things to be done. If you push them too much, I want this report, they'll rush it, and in no time, they'll leave the dots and the commerce and all those ones. So this is my challenge, that if ever he gets nominated as the finance minister, because the constitution says that the deputy ministers must be appointed in consultation with the finance minister, this can be brought to bear, that will have people either from parliament, people who have worked in the public sector, because it's very, very important, very, very important.
All right, so that was financial consultant Charles Mensah. We will also be seeking the views of an economist to tell us what he also makes of the proposed appointment of Ken Ofori-Atta. We'll put him on the line when we get to him, through to him. Now, moving on, second round of payments for DKM Microfinance depositors began today. The official liquidator for DKM Microfinance is confident a smoother process in the second round of payments will take place. It began the new batch of payments on Monday after PricewaterhouseCoopers (PwC) completed manual validation of the claims. There's more in this report.
The first round of payments, which was done between October and early December, was fraught with several challenges, which saw depositors express concerns. About 41,000 depositors of DKM Microfinance are to receive their outstanding claim. This is after the official liquidator last week released a new list of verified claims for onward payment. Jones Ansah is the special aide to the official liquidator.
The second part of payment we are going to do starting from Monday, which is on the 19th of December, comprises of those that their names never appeared at all, and those that they received the 10 cedis and the 20 cedis. But the only thing is, the first DKM staff never ever keyed in all the list of their creditors. They keyed in part and left part. That is why when we started the liquidation process, when the PwC started the work, we realized that the list that we have in your system, a lot of people were complaining that my name hasn't come, I don't have my name in the system. And so we became prudent to the official liquidator that, well, we have to do this manual validation to pay those that their names wasn't captured in the DKM list, the system.
About 300 depositors are expected to be served every day at each designated location. Mr. Ansah explains measures are in place to ensure a smoother process this time around.
The second one should be a very smooth one, because it's in everything that you do is the first time that brings about a problem. But we've gone through all that. The second one is not going to be orderly, because you know that at this very date, I'm supposed to be at the Sunyani main bank, commercial bank. These are the people who are today. So we have our men on the ground. Then, if you go and verify your name. You go out to another second person, the authorizer, who will give you the authority. Who is going to authorize you? Okay, go for the next step. Then you go inside there. Then your money will be given to you.
The payments are being done at 8 GCB branches designated at recipient banks in Bonahafo, Upper East and Upper West regions.
Chief Executive Officer of Oilfield Waste Management Company Zeal Environmental Technologies, Kweku Enin, is challenging the youth to consider venturing into the production of activated carbon, a chemical used to control odor in production factories and manage the highly toxic waste materials in the oil and gas sector. Activated carbon, according to the environmental expert, has always been on high demand in the oil and gas sector, with the potential to create millions of jobs for the youth. This has, however, not been taken up by local businesses in spite of a pilot project initiated by the company to produce locally. Mr. Enin tells Joy Business local production would substantially boost job creation to the benefit of the economy as a whole. All right, so we'll bring you details of that story shortly in the course of the bulletin. Now, the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana, CIMG, is urging the incoming administration to create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive in 2017. Government has assured that the economy will grow by 8% next year, but President of the CIMG, Kojo Mata, says the growth of Ghana's economy will strictly be based on the overall performance of businesses.
2016 has seen businesses express concerns over high taxes and the cost of doing business in Ghana, a development which has caused many businesses to downsize just to survive the economic climate. President of the CIMG, Kojo Mata, says the growth of Ghana's economy in 2017 will mainly be based on the overall performance of private business.
2017 will be a very exciting year for all of us. We are expecting good things to happen to this nation. A new government is coming. Expectations are huge, expectations are high, and they will continue to be high because of the propositions that the incoming government made to Ghanaians. We embrace that well, and we hope that with the right policies and determination, with the right people in place, we believe no task is impossible, and the incoming government should be able to deliver. We should put the customer first. Whatever they tell the customer their products and services will do exceed our expectations, because if you take the customer for granted, the customer will vote with their feet.
Meanwhile, President of Group Ideal, Dr. Nii Kotejani, says he's not confident of business growth in 2017. According to him, the various promises by the incoming NPP administration do not fall in line with the economic realities Ghana is currently facing.
At times you get out of this country and the story that is being told about our country is not a good one. And I think that you, with expertise in branding and marketing, I'll urge you to come up with something. And we in Group Ideal, we are ready to partner you in helping to shape the destiny of this country.
The incoming NPP has assured the private sector of an improved economy ahead of 2017, promising a cut in import taxes and also lending rates.
The 50th Ordinary Session of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government has ended at Abuja, Nigeria. In a communique, the participants, among others, urged member states engaged in oil production and export to initiate the necessary structural reforms and take appropriate economic and financial measures to be less vulnerable to commodity price fluctuations and improve their economies against any shocks. The authority expressed concern about the region's poor performance due mainly to the combined negative effects of the fall in oil prices since 2014 on the fiscal balance of oil exporting countries, particularly Nigeria, deteriorating prices of other commodities, especially mineral oils, as well as the fragile political situation in some countries. President Mahama addressed the session.
Elections were successfully held in Ghana on the 7th of December this year. We currently have a joint transition team working to ensure a smooth transition of power from one government to the other. The inauguration of the new president will take place on the 7th of January 2017, and it's my hope that as many of our colleagues as are able to will join us to inaugurate President Akufo-Addo. Ghana has enjoyed a very positive reputation as a model of democracy, and I believe that this election has consolidated that reputation even further. I want to thank you for the honor done me in asking me to work with President Buhari on the current Gambian crisis. It is my hope that we will work diligently to defuse the situation and resolve that crisis. Many people have asked me what my plans are. I have no plans yet. My immediate intention is to take a well-deserved rest after 3 years of working without a single break. Against that, going forward, I'll be more engaged on sub-regional, continental, and global matters.
The Migrants, Labour and General Workers Union is calling on the government-elect to pass the Domestic Workers Regulation 2016 law. This, they believe, will help address issues of discrimination and exploitation among migrants working. This was contained in a statement issued by the union as the world marks International Day of Migrants under the theme Diversity and Integration, the integration of migrants into the fields of employment, health and education. Justice Baku Ntama is the General Secretary of the Migrants Labour Workers Union.
Saying, and we are fighting for decent work for migrant labor workers. For example, at the moment, when you talk about the migrant labor workers, domestic workers are involved. General migrant workers in agriculture, food, industry, tourism, construction, mining, and other industry. They are all part of, as we classify them as a general migrant union or the migrant labor general workers union. And these challenges, it is for us to fight for decent work. So in all, we are saying that it is time for us to fight for decent work for our migrant or migration life in Ghana. So a lot of migrant workers who are working at the working places and they are earning below minimum wage. We are saying that as a nationals and the migrant as a foreigners must enjoy the same condition of services. That's to say, equal pay for equal work for both Ghanaian migrants and foreign migrants. Okay. Right. That is why we are pushing government, Attorney General and the Parliament, that as you have started, I'm part of the team which draft the labor domestic workers regulation 2016. We have finished our part, and we left the rest of the work to the Attorney General and the Parliament. So we are appealing to them that the incoming elected government or the president should come to our aid to fight for this this bill, exactly, this domestic workers bill or regulation, so that it will help us to work decently.
Back to our earlier story, where Chief Executive Officer of Oilfield Waste Management Company, Zeal Environmental Technologies, Kweku Enin, is challenging the youth to consider venturing into the production of activated carbon, a chemical used to control odor in production factories and manage the highly toxic waste materials in the oil and gas sector. Activated carbon, according to the environmental experts, has been on high demand in oil and gas industry. This has, however, not been taken advantage of by local businesses in spite of the pilot projects being established.
If you don't pick up opportunities, it's just like seeing every day a very beautiful girl and never asking her. You can make beautiful stories about it, but one day you have to ask her. And it's a little bit in farming like that. You can talk days about farming, but you got to do something somewhere. And the agri sector in Ghana has great potential, but we need a new generation of farmers. A generation of farmers who know what's going on. We have...
We sincerely apologize for that wrong insert. We're taking a break here on Business Live. We'll return shortly after this. Thank you very much for being on Business Live, and it's time to take a look at our stocks on the Ghana Stock Exchange, the performance of the various stocks, the equities, the currencies, of course, the products or what we call the commodities. Okay, all right. So Bertha has joined me right here in the studio to take a look at these variables and how they're performing today. Bertha?
Yes, Emmanuel. Thank you very much for having me. Let me say, last week was a very good week on the stock market, okay, and we had the volumes of shares and the value increase week on week basis. The total volumes of shares actually went up by 368.12%. And you know, last week also had ADB listed successfully on the market. Sure. And you know, let me say one thing about ADB shares. The time was very short, but we also had a lot of people, not a lot of people buying, but it looks as if the buyers were already ready. to
I was
buy.
wondering, so what was the secret? Because given that short time...
It's a very short notice to be able to raise such an amount of money. And if you already have your ready buyers, then it's not a problem. Okay. But where you don't have the market ready, the market that's ready to buy, then that's where it becomes a problem. But it's so obvious that ADB already had existing buyers, those who were ready to buy the shares within that particular period of time. And they were so determined to list on the exchange, and that went in their favor. It was very successful. They listed on the market, and the equity actually appreciated last week by 10.57%. You know, the IPO or the initial IPO price was 2.65 Ghana cedis per share, but it closed the week at 2 cedis 93 pesos per share, and that was a change of 10.57% on its week open quote. And we hope that this continues with the equity on the market as we expect more investors. At least this has actually given investors some confidence. But as to whether it will stand or it will continue for long, we have to see what will happen, considering the fact that we've also had a change in government. Now, let me go to the stock market. Last week, we saw the major indices appreciating marginally on their week open levels. The composite index actually closed at negative 20.84%, and the financial stock index closed at negative 27.29%, though not good, and going to end the year on a very bad note, comparing it to previous years and even for the past 5 years. This is one of the worst years that we've had, and we'll continue to say that. And if you look at the entire market, talk about the equities that are actually returning positively to investors, we still have 2 equities returning positively. And FML, it's so obvious that FML is going to be the most returning equity this year on the Ghana Stock Exchange. And some of the secrets, or what actually resulted in this positive returns and fundamentals that gave investors confidence in the equity, was the fact that during the time that the country was actually going through this serious energy crisis, we saw the company come up with strategic measures. They came up with extra plants. They also had some of their productions going on in other African countries, and that helped them. And this year too, they continue to give out very positive results, looking at the fact that the cedi has stabilized. And if you look at the Gold Coast cedi index, let me just bring that in, the year-to-date return, comparing it to major trading partners, is at 3.68%, and this is relatively better than what we had last year. And the energy sector too has been very stable, and that has contributed to FML's success. The demand for the equity has been very high, and we've seen it return the highest so far this year to investors, 53.33%.
Now, 6 days from today will be Christmas. Do we expect any significant, performance on the stock exchange in this particular tide? Going into the festive season, we are not expecting much to happen. What we are expecting is a lot of sell-offs to be going on. People will sell off to have lots of cash to be able to spend during the festive season, and it is common, or it's usual or normal for every time at this particular time of the year. That is what we usually expect. So we're seeing the volumes of shares actually increasing, but we're going to see a lot more of sell-offs. And when you see high volumes, it doesn't tell you whether buyers or sellers, but we're going to see more people sell off to have more cash for the festive season. And then right after the festive season, what happens? Right after the festive season, we'll see the market be a bit slow. Investors will have to psych. It's investor sentiment. We'll see that slowness. And one major thing that will make it very difficult, in fact, if we're expecting the market to rebound next year, it would have been a very good thing. But now that we have change of government, a lot of things are going to take place. We're going to see probably we'll see some drastic changes in some let me say, government rules or regulations concerning the economy. And if that is going to happen, and now we've seen interest rates coming down. And one thing about interest rates in the stock market is that when interest rates are coming down, then investor confidence in the stock market goes up. There's this inverse relationship between interest rates and the stock markets. And if interest rates should continue to go down as it is going down now, there's more people or more participants in the market, unless, of course, speculations affect the market. But at least after festive season, it will be a bit slow. But going forward, we'll see much activities going on. Now, the last time we spoke with the Deputy Managing Director of the Stock Exchange, he promised that the stock market is actually putting in place some measures to actually boost the composite index, which has been very, very low in this market. I mean, what's more on that?
Well, you know, one thing that I also, as an analyst, is that the market is a cycle. And every cycle, we have where the market comes down, then it comes up.
Okay.
It gets to its peak, it falls, and then gets up again. And if you look at the Ghana Stock Exchange for the past, let's say, 5 years or even 3 years, in 2013, the market did extremely well. The composite index returned more than 78%, or about 78% to investors. And that was the average return on the market. And we had more than 10 equities returning more than 100% in 1 year to investors. And if after 2013, we've seen the market come down in 2014, 2015 the market came down, in 2016 the market has come down drastically. So we should expect a rebound anytime soon, probably next year or next year. And if measures are being put in place to make sure that the market rebounds, then it's a very good thing, and we hope that that cycle that we're expecting and that rebound that we're expecting will come to place.
All right, thank you very much,
You're
Bertha,
welcome,
and Merry
Emmanuel.
Christmas to you.
Many happy returns.
All right, so that was Bertha Tubiga bringing us up to speed with developments on the Ghana Stock Exchange. Still on Business Live, it's now time for Interview of the Day. Now, President of the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana, CIMG, Kojo Mata, says businesses must put customers first if they want to remain competitive in the coming year. Kojo Mata was touching on some strategies businesses need to adopt in 2017 in an interview at the sidelines of the 27th Presidential Ball held at the Trade Fair Center in Accra.
Businesses should look at their cash flow. Sales is not profit. So if you make sales and you do not collect the monies back, you can be out of business. Even though you are making sales, if you are not collecting your monies, you will be funding other people's businesses.
What happens to the strategies that you think that business owners would have to adopt ahead of 2017?
Strategies that business owners should adopt. First and foremost, they should put the customer first. Whatever they tell the customer their products and services will do exceed our expectations. Because if you take the customer...
Thanks for joining me on Business Live this evening. Thank you once again, and good evening.